Yeah, but check it out anyway. He hung the microphone back on the cabin wall. They say the only thing out there is the Rotterdam. 10 kilometers southeast, but that ain't the Rotterdam. The light flashed again. You thinking what I'm thinking? Pomeroy asked. Skolnick nodded. If you're thinking boat people, they both knew what that meant. Endless red tape coming into port, delays, confrontations with every petty official in town. It was almost enough to make Skolnick regret he'd ever seen the light at all. But he had. He was on record with it now, and they'd just have to follow through. The cardinal rule laid down by the owner of the fleet was to rescue, at any cost, any such refugees spotted at sea. One whole crew that had failed to had been summarily dismissed, without pay. Better call down to the captain, Skolnick said, and Pomeroy picked up the hand mic. He isn't gonna like this. Not with the head he had on him. There was a clicking on the intercom, and a bleary voice said, What is it? Pomeroy, sir. We've got an unidentified vessel off the starboard bow. Well, why the hell don't you radio 'em? We've tried. There was a pause, then a muffled but audible belch. Boat people? That's my guess. Christ. All right. You know Mr. Calais' orders. If that's what it turns out to be, bring 'em aboard. Whatever it is, Pomeroy, you take care of it. I feel like shit. He belched again, and the intercom clicked off. Aye, aye, Pomeroy said over the dead mic. Asshole. The amber light flashed again, twice, with what almost appeared to be a swinging motion. I think they've spotted us, Skolnick observed. I'll notify navigation of what's going on. Pomeroy grunted and turned the wheel. He'd bring them up midships on the starboard side. He just hoped there weren't too damned many people. Tankers weren't built to accommodate more than their crew, and a minimal crew at that. Fortunately, the sea was rolling easy tonight, and the sky was clear. In a squall, he'd run as good a chance of crushing them under his own hull as of putting them out of the sea. And what would Calais say if he ever heard about something like that? He'd do more than can him without pay. He'd probably come after him with a blunt machete. Of course, with a man like Lucien Calais, it was hard to say anything for sure. I've got Malloy and Coop coming up on deck, Skolnick said. I'll go down and check out the boat myself. Check it out good. That bunch the Le Havre picked up off Cansan had been eating each other for 2 weeks. Skolnick grimaced and gingerly lighted another of his fragile cigarettes. Yeah, well, if I'm not back on board in 2 minutes flat, come on after me. They both fell silent, the cigarette smoke curling lazily in the air, the pounding of the huge engines, a far-off but constant pulse beneath their feet. The amber light had grown noticeably closer, but even with the aid of the binoculars, Skolnick couldn't make out much of the boat. Whatever it was low in the water, and no more than 30 or 35 feet long. There was a bat-wing sail made out of black cloth. So far, he couldn't see any people. I'm going to cut the engines and let them drift in, Pomeroy said. Skolnick nodded and looped the binoculars around his neck. Give me all the light you can, he said. And Pomeroy flicked on the running lights fore and aft, and the searchlights that covered the bow deck. For good measure, he gave a blast on the foghorn. Smiling at Skolnick, he said, Enough to wake the dead? Skolnick stuck a flashlight into his back pocket and stepped out into the night. There was a cool breeze blowing, and he turned up the collar of his jacket. Down below, he could see Malloy and Coop leaning against the railing on the starboard side. They looked no more enthusiastic than he was. He clambered down the ladder, onto the steel skeleton of the monkey bridge, then down again, into the glare of the searchlights. Malloy turned and said,